Starting a clothing line in 2020 is not as hard as it used to be. You might think you need a factory, a company, and some million-dollar investment, but that is no longer the case. Some of the most recognizable brands started off as just an idea from an independent owner. So today I'm gonna tell you exactly how you can start your own clothing line. But the catch is, I'm gonna tell you how you can do that with $0. And I know what you're thinking. I know that's really hard to believe. But if you listen to the end, you will definitely see that it's possible. Not easy, but possible. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna lay it out step by step. And the very first thing you're gonna need is a game plan. You need to know how it's gonna work. But before we go any further, if you don't know what it is, I wanna introduce you to the concept of drop shipping. Now, when you drop ship, you charge for a product, right? You take the money for the product, then you place an order with a supplier, and then that supplier sends the product to the customer, and then you keep the profits. That is drop shipping in its most simplest form, simplest definition. So remember that and keep that in your back pocket, because that is going to be important later. Now, there's also suppliers that'll take a design you have, print it on a shirt, a mug, pretty much whatever you want. And when this meets drop shipping, what you have is print on demand. Now, as far as our plan, that's exactly how we're gonna start a clothing line with $0. But there's way more to it. So like I said, listen up and follow along to the end. So the very first thing you would need is a design. Now, since we're starting this with absolutely no money, then we really can't go get a design off of Instagram or Fiverr, so purchasing a design is out the window. And honestly, I'm not gonna lie, that's a huge blow, because getting a good logo or design will drastically help your chances of making a successful clothing line. However, it's not over for you, because in the end, your hustle and determination is actually gonna be what makes or breaks you. So with that said, there's a couple free design softwares out there. You got Old Faithful, Microsoft Paint, but let's say you don't have a Windows device. There's several online like Canva or Vector. Just try either one of those. And if you can't figure out how to use them, just check out YouTube University and go search, and I promise you there's a tutorial on each of those. Now keep in mind, once you're making your design, make sure you save them as JPEGs, okay? Or PNG files, which basically mean a transparent background. And trust me, you're gonna understand why you need to do that later on in the video, so keep watching. So now let's talk about how we're gonna make it happen, and this is the good part. So remember, I told you about print on demand earlier, right? Here's where it actually comes into play. So now it's time to find a provider. So there's services like Teespring, Printful, Printify, which are all print on demand providers, right? There are some things to consider when it comes to picking the right one for you. So let's assume you've already made your account, you've already signed up, right? Now you're ready for the next steps. First, you gotta pick your item, because honestly, you can print anything from shirts to mugs to slides to hoodies on these different sites. So after you've selected what you're selling, now it's time to check out the prices as far as what each provider is gonna charge you. And honestly, this is the most important part for you. There's gonna be a lot of different printers that print a specific shirt. One might charge you $7 to print the shirt, but $10 for shipping. Then another might charge you $13 for the shirt and only charge you $5 for shipping. You just got to figure out which one is right for you. Another factor that's going to affect that is production time. So sometimes the cheapest option can take the longest, and the quicker options are most expensive. Actually, you're going to see that most of the time. Out of all those factors, you got to decide which one works best for you. And also keep in mind, remember, we still haven't spent no money. Now, most of the time, it's the way the rest of the process works. Most of the time, people have like a Shopify website connected to these providers, right? And so the whole process is automated. They hook their store, you hook your store up to it, then the order comes in. You have a payment method already in place to pay the supplier, and you get charged when the order comes through, and then boom, the supplier makes it and then sends it out to the customer. But since we can't spend any money, we're gonna have to do it manually. We can't do it the automated way. Plus, we're gonna have to take the money from the customer first and use that money to place the order so that we can get started. And trust me, on all three of the ones I mentioned, they definitely work that way, and you can 100% do it that way, because you can enter in orders manually. I repeat, you can enter in orders manually. Which brings me to my next point, actually. And since we can't have a website, we can't spend any money to start, I know you're thinking like, bro, how are we gonna showcase it? How are we gonna have a store? And when it comes to having an online store, the best option is gonna be a Facebook business page and an Instagram business page. And the reason why is because both of those now allow you to actually add items and a shop page. So that does mean, however, that since we can't spend any money, you're gonna have to get creative with advertising. Since we can't spend any money on the conventional, proven, effective ways to advertise. I wanna let y'all know this too. Keep in mind, if any part of this business plan that we've gone over today If you can throw some money in, please do. It's really gonna help. And if you're gonna ask me, bro, tell me one area, if you only could put money in one part of this business plan, where would it be? And I would honestly say number one would be for the design. If you're a subscriber, you know me well enough to know that I believe when it comes to print on demand and stuff like that, a good design is what sells. If you don't want to spend it on that, my next thing I would spend it on is advertising. All right. I really wouldn't trip, especially in the beginning, on getting the Shopify store or the website made, simply because Facebook and Instagram, they work pretty well and they get the job, though you can definitely get around not having a real website storefront. Definitely not easy, but starting a clothing line from $0 is definitely realistic. If you're interested in other ways of making money, please check out one of these videos they're about to show y'all. Also, if you like my content, please don't hesitate. Like, comment, and subscribe. Thank you everybody for rocking out with me. I love everybody out there. Let's get it.